All right. Well, we're here. We're going to be coming on tonight with Adam Wawzynski, and he has got a match coming up on August 20th in Ladson, South Carolina, and he's going to be pulling none other than the Hillbilly Assassin, which is going to be Paul Talbot for the PAF. I believe it's 200 or 198 pound title belt, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely excited about that. He's definitely a killer. He's definitely the man to beat, or one of the men to beat for sure at 200 pounds. There we go.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I can see you good.
All right, good deal. Sorry, I was having some trouble. The passcode wasn't letting me in. I guess I was mixing my uppercase and lower cases.
Yeah, it's no problem. It's always a little bit of a little, every time it takes a little something. So, but I'm glad we're on here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, be on. Thank you.
And it was a pleasure meeting you in Tennessee and all. And there were some good matches.
There really were. I enjoyed the super match card a lot, actually. There were some great matches. I heard the tournament went really well. I didn't get to stick around for it, but yeah, it was a great turnout. There was a lot of solid arm wrestlers there.
It was, and in my opinion, a lot of the lightweight guys don't get a lot of the credit I think that they probably deserve. But that was like a lightweight shootout.
Yeah, from what I mean, like I said, I almost wish I would have stuck around for the tournament because I heard it was just electric, and but it was kind of tough. I had to be on the road, but yeah, I heard that the 54s was all over the place, a lot of unexpected wins and losses, and even the 76s. But yeah, those guys, you're right. They don't get the credit really. Those guys, and I know it for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll just fire off with some questions.
Yeah, sure, man. Hit me. Whatever you got.
We'll just start out with what's your name? I've already done like a quick introduction before you came on, but just start out with what's your name, where you're from, and what weight class you normally pull in.
Yeah, so Adam Wawzynski. I am originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I now live in Charleston, South Carolina, and I pull in the 200-pound weight class. Although 200, 210 kind of depends on what event we're at. I'm starting to drift away from the 200-pound class, but as of now, still there.
All right, well, sweet. And so how long have you been competing for?
I've been since January of 2015. So I guess going on 8 years now.
Okay. And so if you don't mind, can we rewind back a little bit? And if you can think back, what was it like your first time on doesn't necessarily have to be at a competition, but just on a real arm wrestling table?
Well, I think my first time on a real arm wrestling table was at a competition.
All right, great.
It was WAL throwing some qualifiers back when they did that tournament series, and that's kind of what got me into the sport. And it was pretty different. It was pretty cool. I mean, I'd been watching videos, and of course, was interested, and so I knew what it would look like. I knew what it would kind of be like, but then to actually get there and do it, it was a whole different animal. Yeah, but it was really almost it gives you that feeling of when you first get on the table, you just want to get back on.
Mm-hmm.
You get that kind of addictive feeling. You're like, man, I really like this. When's the next one? Or when can I, or how can I do this more? It just sort of grows on you.
Yeah, that's been my experience. So let me get this straight. You just showed up to a WAL qualifier and just weighed in, paid, and put your elbow down?
That would be correct. Well, I was looking, I'd found arm wrestling through a TV show, Game of Arms. I don't know if you've ever watched it and man, that's pretty cool. I want to do it. I started like Googling, looking up tournaments. And of course, time, like I said, WAL was throwing those, that qualifier or that tournaments. You go to a qualifier, there were plenty of them. Then you got to go to regionals and then, finals. And so there was a qualifier, probably, Titusville, Pennsylvania, hour outside of where I lived. And I went. It wasn't a real big event, but it was kind of one of those, local events thrown in a bar type venue. And it was pretty electric. I mean, there were some good pullers there, remember. But yeah, I just competed in, I think it was 220 amateur and only right. I didn't do left hand, just right. Yeah. And it was addicting. And I ended up qualifying, like I placed first, but I mean, I don't know how many guys were in the class or division. But I ended up winning that class, and somehow that sent me to Vegas for regionals or gave me like a ticket.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't think it mattered whether you placed in pro or amateur. I think they were just trying to get people out there. And they got me out there and I went. And wow, I want to be back,
It sounds like I just couldn't imagine. I've never placed first in a novice tournament. I've only got second twice. But anyways, I couldn't imagine winning a trip to Vegas. I'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah. So it wasn't like anything was paid for it.
Right. Yeah, I understand. But even just to,
time I thought it was pretty special. I mean, but to give you perspective, I don't think I won another. I competed in amateur at least 3 years after that. Amateur and pro. I would always go to events, and I if I was pulling 220 amateurs, I'd pull 220 pro too. And free, I'd go I'd do pretty good in the amateurs, and I'd just get waxed in the pro class. And that was my life from 2015 till 20, until I made kind of the switch, so to speak.
Okay. Well, that was some good information. Throughout your time in the sport, who would you say is one of your biggest rivals that you've continually run into, or somebody it seems like you're always banging with? Is there just one guy that stands out?
Well, there's actually a couple. One big one, and who you probably are is Robbie Russell's, and then the guy we're a big. Every time we pull, it's a great match. Local rivals, though, I mean, there's guys like Ryan Ballinger. I think I've pulled 18 million times across 3. Every time I see him at an event, he's like, "Well, what weight class you pulling?" I'm like, "I think I'm gonna jump in like 220s, 240s, and supers." He's like, "Oh, me too." I'm like, "Great." So he's one that comes to mind.
He's my buddy. I really like him.
Yeah.
Guy.
But I'd honestly say, yeah, he's just somebody who comes to mind. I pulled a lot. And there's a lot of other guys too.
It's not definitely. I'm not gonna sit here and put you on the spot. So on the opposite spectrum, who would you say has been a great influence through your arm wrestling journey? One of your teammates or somebody who's kept you motivated, kept you coming back through the
Well, I've had a lot of that's a great question. I mean, there's been a lot of guys in my career that have influenced me. I mean, from the start, the team that I started with in PA, guys like Kevin Arbuckle, Dan Stiver, Paul Schneider. And then, when I first came to South Carolina, guys like Kirkland Prince, Dylan Lee, Louis Quinones. But by far, and no disrespect to anybody, the current team I train with, Carolina Chaos.
Oh, shit. You're on Hunter Knob's team.
Oh, yeah. Chad Silvers has been a phenomenal coach and extreme inspiration and motivator in my life, in my arm wrestling, journey, and the coaching and the knowledge and the compassion that we all share. I mean, not just with him, is unlike anything I've ever been a part of. And, I'm a guy who went and played college football and have been in went to a military school and been in a team oriented setting across multiple years. And for a group of guys that just get together on Sunday and arm wrestle purely because we love it, we don't really get monetary value out of it. We're not getting like power, it's because of the love of the sport, and the bond we have it's truly special. And you really don't see a lot of arm wrestling teams out there like that, so I'm very fortunate, very thankful to have guys like Chad, Hunter, Shane, everybody on our team. I could sit here and name them all, but everybody's serves a special role, and it's just I'm fortunate to be a part of it.
Hell yeah, that sounds good. If that doesn't make you want to go out and join the team, then you won't never arm wrestle. So that's pretty
Any
awesome.
Here in I live in Charleston. We have a local crew that's been coming pretty consistently at my house on Fridays, and they're starting to build up, kind of that team spirit, and and getting together and training together. And it's just, it's great to be part of groups like that sort of push you, and that make you a better version of you every time you step into practice.
And that's how it feels. I have a team that I'm definitely extremely thankful for myself. They're the reason I am even this turned up about arm wrestling as I am. And so I do really feel like that they make you better, just with all the different arms, all the different styles, and then people getting better here and there, and you're just having to switch you're having to learn and move as you go. It's like a living, breathing thing, kind of the way everybody's levels change. It's fun.
Sure. Everybody's heard the term iron sharpens iron, but that's truly how, I've gone time, 3-4 months of time in practice where, we haven't competed in any events, and it doesn't ever feel like sometimes you're getting better because you're pulling the same guys, and maybe you're losing to the same guys in practice or beating guys the same ways. But then you go and compete, and you realize that, well, we were all really just getting a little bit better, and that's important to understand and realize. So, yeah.
So, changing gears a little bit, do you have any experience with, you said you've been in, athletics and in the Army and stuff. Do you have any experience with steroids or PEDs, or have you been around anybody that is, that's on them or anything, or do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I do have an opinion on that. I have never used any sort of performance enhancing drugs. The only thing that I ever take is I take a 5 milligrams of creatine every day that you can go buy at GNC, and, very, very generic protein powder. It's like, Gold Whey or something. You get it on Amazon, at first I was kind of indifferent about them. I was just like, well, if that guy wants to take steroids, and or I say PEDs because I really know nothing about
same
steroids at all. There's certain kinds. There's everything from test to D-ball. I don't know anything about them, but I always was like, yeah, if that guy wants to take it, that's him. Let him take it, and whatever. I've always tried to be an inspiration to people that, you don't have to take performance enhancing drugs to be at a professional level of arm wrestling. But now I sort of stand I'm more against them now. I don't think, I understand that a lot of these events aren't tested and it's not enforced. So really not breaking any rules by taking them, but I just feel like it's just not something you should do. It's not worth your health. It's not worth the risk reward isn't there. I feel like it's almost creating it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, right? If somebody is out, and if I clone myself today, and Adam Wawzynski right here is the same as Adam on the right, and the only difference between us is this guy's taking steroids, well, this guy's going to level up a lot. It's unfair, right? You're using chemicals to alter your body. Like I said, it's hard for me to talk about them because I haven't done the research. I don't know.
Right.
But what I do know is it gives you your advantage. I don't think in the long run it's worth it. My analogy to people all the time is like, you ever watch Star Wars? Taking steroids like going to the dark side. You might get powerful and you might get strong, but at what cost? You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's always my little snippet for people who are thinking about it. I always said, at what cost, man? It's not worth your head, especially when, I mean, let's be honest, this sport isn't paying out millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, right.
Maybe if you're in the NFL or you're in those, you're still not allowed to take that stuff, but sure, maybe, but I just think that it's unfair, and I think everybody should just explore their natural capability.
Mm-hmm. And there's not a thing wrong with that whatsoever. It's a question I like to ask, and that's probably one of the better answers I've heard personally, for sure. But one interesting snippet I will add is that I talked to Coach Ray, and I don't know if you know Ray Lipens. He just pulled Ryan Bowen at East First West. Well, I spoke with him, and he was telling me, because I asked him the same thing, and he explained to me that Latvia is majority tested. Excuse me, sorry. But then he went on to, which was a shocker, kind of. He said, "Yeah, all our events everywhere, whole nation, it's all tested." And
Yeah.
and I knew that the higher class one was, but he made the comment that if arm wrestling ever wanted to make it mainstream, or that if we ever wanted to go into the Olympics or be big, that we would have that it would have to be tested, just like all the other sports are, you know. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting concept, which I guess everybody already knows that, or if it ever becomes mainstream enough, it'll be tested. But even still, it just goes to show you that even though it's not against the rules, it would be if a lot of money was involved.
Yeah, I think structure is one of the best things for our sport, and testing at events comes along with that. I don't think it should be allowed. I really don't. But it always does give me a grin whenever I know that guys are on it and I'm still crushing them. So
yeah, that's true.
A little bit of satisfaction, like, well, you're taking all these drugs, and I mean, what's it doing for you, buddy? Drugs don't work whenever the work ethic, is not there, or it isn't. You put your head down, you work hard, you do the things that you're supposed to do, and you train hard, and you don't need those drugs. It's not necessary.
So over the years of tweaking your training program and your different ways, cycling through, I guess, recovery, or whether or not you're going to go to the gym and lift, or table time, what does a training week look like for you? Like, for instance, leading up to arm wrestle the Hillbilly Assassin, what is your training regimen going to look like? Well, I know probably the work's probably already been done. That was probably a stupid question. What did it look like?
No, that's actually a great question, and I'm glad you kind of tweaked it and said, upcoming to an event, because a lot of people will ask me, what does training look like? And it's like, dude, is it over the winter and I'm not competing and I'm trying to get stronger? Is it close to tournament time? Am I preparing for a super match? So yeah, I mean, right now I haven't really gone into the rest mode yet. My training has tapered off. I'm not really lifting a lot of heavy weights. I'm out of the West. Well, I'm not totally outside of the West Side barbell method, but I'm doing a lot of speed oriented work. So, I'm still doing, my push day, my pull day, my shoulders day, my hand and wrist day, my arm day, but it's all with respect to speed. I like to use a lot of bands and a lot of chains to drive things like acceleration, right? Because we know force equals mass times acceleration. I think that's a important factor to build, going into a super match or a tournament. And also, I think acceleration is important to train close to an event, because that's when you want to get the fast twitch muscle fibers moving. We all know that speed kills, even in our sport. So be as strong as you want, but the speed helps. And plus it's better for, I've seen, I don't know this for a fact, but I've seen a lot of benefit from training speed close to an event, because I feel like it helps me heal and recover faster. The total load of weight is off of, it's off of my joints. It's a lighter load, for lack of better terms. And we're moving it faster. And it kind of hurts at first when you go from that strength phase to that speed phase, because you're not used to the shock of moving things that fast. And that's why I kind of do it about a month or, 6 weeks before an event. So I kind of get over that shock pain, and now I'm really responsive to fast twitch stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So when you're saying working out for speed and you're using bands and chains, would you say you're probably lifting around 50% of your max or something with a band hooked up to it or something less and
Yeah,
still you can really hit into it?
yeah. I do a lot of unorthodox lifts and ways of training. I'm not really, but yeah, you're right. The load itself is total about 50 to 60% of the one rep max. So what I'll do is you'll add weight and I'll try to say, well, that band's about adding 20 pounds or so, not really important so much about the weight. So I'm not running numbers and calculating, but
Right.
I would say it's including with the bands or the chains, it's all about 50 to, I won't even go 60%, 50 to 55%
Mhm.
of that one rep max. But yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't. If I'm benching 300 pounds, it's not going to be 150 plus the bands.
Right.
Unless really light band, then maybe. But a lot of times, I'm using most of my tension is with the band or the
Okay.
chain. So
Okay.
that's why it's all together. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Of course, I knew the percentages would definitely vary on exercise. I was thinking more of like arm wrestling specific stuff with the handle. I know bench press, you really got to be up there close, because you drop your bench press in half, you can like throw it.
Right.
Well,
Right. Yeah. And I really don't do a whole lot of. I used to set up my table to my cable machine and mimic a lot of those movements. But I really don't train them too much anymore. And I guess that's not because I think it's a bad thing or not a beneficial thing. I do think it's very beneficial. I practice a lot. So I
oh,
get
okay.
most of my tape on the table.
You did tell me
Uh,
that, didn't you? You pull Sunday, Friday and Sunday, don't you?
yeah. So I always pull Sundays and sometimes I'm pulling Friday too.
Okay.
Uh, so with 2 days a week in practice, there's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of hard to sit there and rip side pressure on a handle whenever you're ripping it hard
Yeah.
Friday, more so Sunday. But
100%. Absolutely. So, what are some goals that at the very beginning you may have set and accomplished, or maybe some larger goals that you still may have yet to accomplish, if you can think of
oh, that's a great question. I mean, at the beginning, I was more so just hungry to be the best. I never really said out there like, oh, I want to win this. I mean, I'd go to tournaments and yeah, I'd want to win them, but I just wanted to be the best I could be.
it.
Uh, of course, I had my tournaments lasered in and said, yeah, I'd really love to, win this tournament or win that one. And now my goals are they're more so the same. I just my obviously your goal is to be the best version of you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to before I move up in a weight class, I'd like to sort of dominate the weight class I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Love to, Lord willing, become number one in North America at some point in time, and also number one in the U.S. rankings. And I know that's sort of across two different weight classes, but that's been a goal of mine for a while. I've been chasing that, and that's no easy task. There's some, I'm getting closer. I started at, I got in the rankings and I was 10th. That's when they only had 1 through 10, and then I think I jumped up to 7, and now 4 and 3, and so I feel like it's going in the right direction, but it's certainly taken its course. But I have no problem with that. Arm wrestling is it's a marathon, not a race. So I think so. Get caught up trying to advance too quickly, and that's when things fall or injuries happen, and sometimes you just got to take a step back and get in the gym, get in practice. The goal is just to be a little bit better each day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look in the mirror and you realize that the biggest opponent you have is yourself, then I think everybody would be on the right track.
Mm-hmm. What do you actually do for a living? And would you say that any of the kind of work either helps or hurts with your recovery, your arm wrestling recovery? I don't know if you work physically or
Yeah. So, well, I used to. I
Okay.
mean, in college, I actually built docks with a guy, but now, no, I'm an engineer for the Navy, so a lot of it's computer based work. But I do some hands on stuff, but nothing strenuous or what you would consider hard labor.
Okay.
I'm fortunate for that because I feel like it is conducive to my training just because I'm the type of person that trains really hard in the gym, sometimes
Okay.
twice. So for me to be able to give my body a
Uh-huh.
relaxation throughout the day, uh, I feel is beneficial. And a lot of people are laborers and maybe they're not training as hard in the gym, but they're getting that work through, swinging sledgehammers or digging holes or building houses and always dealing with lumber. And that certainly has given people a lot of success as we've seen. But
Okay.
I like the work that I do. I think it fits my lifestyle, my mindset, my training.
Hmm.
I it kind of, and I'm fortunate too, where my job allows me to, travel and, take time off when I need it. Very, very fortunate for the job that I have. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. I think I might have noticed something, and I hope you don't take offense to any of this, or that it's not out of the way. But has arm wrestling caused, or do you deal with any kind of size discrepancy in your hands, or are they the exact same
So
size and thickness?
no, actually, I'll try to show it on camera.
Yeah,
My right
I
hand is
noticed it.
it you can't really see it much on this camera, but my right hand's a lot bigger than my left. It's substantially bigger in the hand. The
Uh-huh.
forearm bicep is a little bit bigger. And actually, Derek, I noticed this at a very young age, probably
Okay.
about 10, well, not very, 10 years old,
Okay.
well before arm. But I will say that arm wrestling training has really amplified
Made it
the
worse.
problem. Yeah, it certainly didn't level out the hands. The right arm has been responding a lot better to the training. Although the left, I feel like the left's getting there. I ask my roommate Gage all the time, and he arm wrestles as well. He's on our team, Carolina Chaos. I asked him one time, I said, I think the left is getting close to right. He said, not even close. I was like, man, throw me a bone. I think it is, but yeah, I don't know. It'll probably just always be that much bigger.
No, I didn't want to put you on the spot. I actually just thought it was from pumpkin training, but either way, I mean, it's an asset. It's not a
It,
negative
it's,
thing.
it's funny you say pumpkin train. I mean, I train the same on both arms, and there's
Uh,
been two times in life where I have like injured this right hand.
really?
Ninth grade in high school, broke it. I was out for 6 weeks. I did everything left-handed. I mean, and of course not arm wrestling training, but I
Right.
did everything. I was still worked out. This arm never caught up. And then back in 2017, um, this tendon in my pinky, I cut it with a knife and it like severed. And
Well,
it was probably a 16-week healing process of no movement. And I did everything left arm. I said, I'm going to level out this arm. It never caught up. It never. It,
well,
so this is the Lord's will for me to have a bigger right hand. So
there's nothing
that's
wrong with that because that's the money
no,
arm. It's the money arm. So if you could
yeah,
choose,
the arm, party arm.
yeah.
It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah, well, or you could just really just mess with people and say, like, if you're even half like committed, you should easily have one of these. Start freaking people out.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're still look the same. You need to get to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I never thought about that, but that would be a good driver, of course. Probably.
I would use it. I
That's
would
not
use
bad.
it. I need everything I can get. But yeah, that's great. So you spoke on injuries. I was gonna ask what do you think your worst injury is that you've gotten? Not necessarily
Mm.
while arm wrestling, but that has hindered your arm wrestling that you and maybe just how you dealt with it or how it healed up.
Yeah. So, I mean, throughout my arm wrestling career, I've experienced a lot of dings, in my elbow, biceps, where I went through periods of time of felt like I had zero side pressure because the inner elbow pain was so bad. And then there was like a year where I really thought I tore a part of my bicep and I had no back pressure. But I would say the biggest injury that I've had that has hindered my training and continues to is playing high school, or I'm sorry, college football. It was actually in the weight room, but I had a bad back injury, lower back. And it's been something that, flares up every now and then. I go through phases where it kind of, there's been times where I've been in the hospital because I stuck like a board. I couldn't move.
Really?
And it was just so bad. Yeah, there were, I could remember that. And I haven't had any incidents that severe recently, but every now and then when it comes up, it's bad. And it definitely, it makes me not want to go in the gym, but I still do. And I still work around it. And I've been doing a lot of yoga. That's been helping, actually, believe it or not. Like chiropractors, it wasn't doing it. Orthopedic guys kind of, didn't really have much insight because, we don't really know exactly what's going on back there. I've had multiple opinions, but I'll tell you, yoga is very underrated. And if you have back problems or hip problems, get with an instructor who knows their stuff and get on it, because it's been helping me a lot.
Well, hey, who would have known? But seems like health has a lot to do with flexibility and just maybe overall just body. I don't know how to explain it, but just kind of keeping your whole body active and healthy.
Yeah, and I've noticed that it helps a lot with arm wrestling too, because a lot of yoga is opening up your spine and your chest and your shoulders, and just doing that stuff allows you to move better. You can twist better. You can train harder because you're more flexible. It's
Mhm.
just, it's beneficial. It's beneficial no matter which way you look at it. I recommend that everybody tries it out.
All right. Well, hey, you can't argue with that. All I can speak on is a little calisthenics. Since I've started doing those, it's helped me definitely. I've lost 40 pounds since
Sure.
I've started arm wrestling because of like my hand thickness. I grabbed a couple super heavies and I was just like, I need to lose weight. I don't have the skeleton for these guys. And so I
Yeah.
did. And so we're going from there. But calisthenics helped me lose weight and doing stuff like that, doing body weight stuff and doing a high rep and doing a little jogging. But I'd be willing to hop on some yoga because I'm very unflexible. I have back problems from doing remodeling for like 15 years. So, but
Yeah. It would.
sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And so let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind. If you're going to be interviewing with somebody else, I won't kill it. But you want to talk a little bit about how you feel about pulling Paul Talbot? Have you ever arm wrestled him before? Do you guys have history?
No, we don't have any history. I've
All
never
right.
pulled Paul. Um, I'm really, really excited about the match because obviously, like I said, I got started with, WAL. I used to watch
Uh-huh.
this guy, you
Okay.
know, on TV
Okay.
a lot, like as I'm getting started, and I would have never thought in a million years that I'd be competing at that level. But,
Uh-huh.
like here I am, and we have a match in 2 weeks, and I'm really excited about it. I didn't realize he was as light as he was because
Uh-huh.
I've been walking around big. I've been like 215, well, maybe not that heavy, like 213, 212. And he wanted to meet at 200 pounds. And I'm like, I thought for sure this guy would be cool with 210. And then, Anthony Laterra, promoter, said, yeah, he's 187. I said, 187 and that strong? I said, gosh, that's a bad dude. Reminds me a lot of, like a Justin Bishop, or, even like guys like Robbie Russell, where they look big, but they're not. I mean, I guess what made me think he was bigger is, he just pulled like Pavlo. Now this was left-handed, and he's like 240, 250.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, for a guy that, I thought he was more like 200, 205, but no, so that's been a challenge for me, is to, get the weight down,
Mm-hmm.
the way I don't know what he's going to try to do to me in the match. I've seen that he's been, top rolling lately, but I know he's got that wicked inside move. So it's kind of been a guessing game to me to figure out what he's going to do. But I guess the best thing I can do is just go on the table and do what I do best, not worry about what he's going to do. So I guess when the ready go happens, we'll find out. And I'm thankful that it's a 5-round super match and not a 1-round super match. Because
yeah, at least you're not beating him in a tournament. Yeah, that's true. So at least,
I mean, you never know what he's going to throw at you. I guess what I'm getting at, he may. I've seen this guy press. I've seen him top roll. I've seen him pull. Every angle of the table, even with a wrist back. So
and he's fast and strong.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see a whole lot of weak lanes on this guy. You've seen him do everything, so it's going to take everything I have to beat him. Or I don't even like saying it. I mean, you never know. I mean, it's going to take everything I got to compete with him at that level. So I'm excited for it. I hope he's training hard. Because I am. I'll be ready for it.
Well,
not ready.
If I'm not mistaken, he pulled in Michael Todd in that Michael Todd, Michael Todd's event there. I can't remember which it was.
Yeah.
And John pulled Corey, and he took a loss, I believe, and he didn't like it. From what I could tell, he didn't care. He didn't care for that. So if he's not training hard, I'll be extremely shocked. I know he was working a lot. I actually asked him for an interview, and he said, "I'm just too busy right now." But this was before yours and his match was announced. But he sounded busy, or at least he said he was working. He said he was on like 24s. I forget. I don't want to like say bullshit or say something wrong, but I think he was like 12 hours on or 12 hours off on some kind of shift working. Yeah. But anyway,
he's got a crazy schedule, and
okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he is training hard. I mean, he's never been somebody that doesn't train hard. So I can't imagine he'd be training any less for this match. But yeah,
and you have a pretty popular video of you, and I believe it was Nunez, where you arm wrestled for the 200-pound title, correct?
Yeah, 200-pound belt. Yes.
Okay, 200-pound belt. Is that the same exact belt at and everything, or is it a new belt every year? Or are you the belt holder?
No. So PAF has, for those that don't know, Powerhouse Arm Wrestling Federation has kind of a belt system.
Oh
no, there's not a new belt every year.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
You champion that holds a belt, and that was obtained either through, sometimes he starts a belt and gives it away to like the winner of the class.
Okay.
Or most of these are belts when it first started. But yeah, I've been the belt holder at 200 pounds since March of 2019.
Okay.
I've had it, and I've had a couple challenges. Yeah, usually people challenge you if they want a shot at it. They put up the money. They come for the belt.
All right.
And if they keep their money in the belt, if they lose, they forfeit the cash. But this match with Paul is not a belt match. It's just a super match. I don't think he was interested. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for messing that up. But hey, I got a gem out of learning about the belt system, because I did not know that.
Yeah, it's and I don't know what's exactly going to happen, because I don't know if you've heard, but PAF is kind of doing away after this year. Obviously the belt holders get to keep their belts, and I think it's kind of just a personal thing. If someone wants to come get it, that the belt holder reserves the right to keep it, or they also reserve the right to put it up for some money. So I don't know how that's exactly going to work, but I'm sure it's just an agreement between the challenger and the belt holder.
Yeah, it sounds individualized. So, it sounds like you've got, like say it goes away, you have the belt, and you could just kind of say whatever you want. You could make a post on Facebook and say, hey, I need 90 days notice. If you want a shot at the belt, and I need you within 200 pounds, bring however much money you feel like, and then just like,
if you want to continue to put it up, then yeah. But I guess from what Anthony said, you also have the right to say, well, PAF's done and I'm
Oh,
retiring.
yeah, I'm the belt holder and that's it. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of whatever you want to do with it. It's a shame. I love PAF. I love their events. I'm sad to see them go, but I understand. It's a lot to be a promoter and to travel across the country and hold the events that Anthony's had. So
Absolutely.
I get, yeah, I get it. But
Yeah, it's funny because I'm like at the beginning end, I'm like interested in interviewing people who put on events. I actually asked Anthony because I want to learn more about what all it takes to put on an event because they don't have any in North Carolina. So
yeah, uh, it kind of depends on what sort of level event you want to have. But definitely, money's the
yeah,
biggest driver.
it always
Money,
is.
you got to pay rev.
There we go. We're back on.
We're back at it.
Yeah, just Zoom only allows 40 minutes. I guess I need to buy the stinking thing. Because at first I thought nobody's gonna want to talk over 40 minutes, but sometimes we just get rolling.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's all good.
So what is Warzone gonna do with his belt? Are you gonna offer it up or are you gonna lock it down? Or are you still thinking?
Whoever wants it, come and get it. But certainly the price has got to be right because that belt is at 200 pounds, and for me to be at 200 pounds, exactly 200 pounds, I like to walk around a little heavy. It's gonna take some cash. I'm not just gonna be like, oh yeah, you want it? Sure, let's put it up and pull. And a lot of that too is, it's not just me being selfish, but
No.
I want people to understand that if you're going to take a 5-round super match with me, you better take it seriously. And this isn't just something where you're going to come up and test your luck. You better be willing to put up the money. And I don't even mind matching it. The PAF rule is, the challenger has to put up $500 and, the belt holder puts up nothing. I'll match the money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with that. I'll match the money because, I don't, I'll always fall back on my training versus my opponents anytime. It's not so much that I know I'm going to win,
Right.
but if I gotta sit there,
It's some work. It's a process. Absolutely. So if you're
yeah,
going to put in the work to come peak Warzone, then you don't want to just make somebody pin themselves. Like you just wasted 6 weeks of my life. Right?
I mean, yeah, it's it's the price has got to be right. I'm not gonna
Okay.
travel to an event, spend my money just
Yeah.
so you can out at a belt that you probably trained half as much as I trained for. So I got to be able to win. I got to be able to come out. I got to have my stuff paid for, and I got to have a little bit of money in the deal. Otherwise, it's just not worth it to me, unless you're somebody who's, I don't know, like a number. Unless you're ranked ahead of me or something, but I don't think those guys care about a PAF belt. To be honest with you, if I didn't have the belt, it wouldn't be going after.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's not a prestigious belt to have. It's just it's something I won early in my career, and I've just always had it. And I love my PAF belt. I do. I got it put up in my gym, and it inspires me every day. And it's special to me too. So if you're going to come after it, you got to pay the cash.
Yeah. Hey, zero wrong with that. That's why I wanted to know when I heard how long you had it. And not only that, but like you said, at the very beginning, you and your buddies get together for the love of arm wrestling and the family. It's not about the money. So if you have if you have like a little money maker, which that's kind of what that is, in my opinion, just, I'm the belt holder. So you got to, if you want to be me, it costs money. And so and if anything, if you could attend 2 or 3 tournaments a year just off challenges, I mean, hey, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, especially it's one thing to want a super match, but if you want the belt, you got to pay the price. You got to pay the price, because that's something that's very special to me. Like I said, I've had it for a long time, and it has a resting place in my gym, and that's where I plan on keeping it. So for me to defend it, the price has to be right.
100%. So how has I'm kind of finishing up here. How has arm wrestling changed, would you say? Do you notice any changes? I've actually heard some old time guys say something far as like arm wrestling's not the same, and I've actually seen people quit because of how how they feel like modernized arm wrestling is and stuff like that. Have you do you have anything on that?
Like as far as styles of arm
Okay, no,
wrestling,
well, maybe just like how Facebook and social media and the way people have kind of they say that it's not as kind of family oriented. It's not as small and niche as it used to be. Now there's like all kind of people in it, and that's just what I've heard people say, or the way they run tournaments.
I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess I haven't been in it. I mean, I've been in the sport for almost 8 years, but
Right.
I guess I've been in it long enough to see what it was like
Okay.
way back. I mean, I kind of disagree with that a little bit. I don't know. I definitely think it needs to be more professional. You know,
Okay.
you have, I think, got people like Denise and Leonard Harkless and Sean Hancock, USAA do a great job of
Yeah.
holding professional events, and I think other events are definitely a lot more sloppy, but, I do think that it needs to be, I think it would benefit the sport for it to be more organized, more professional. Um, but I don't know if it was more professional back then and it's
Okay.
not now, and maybe that's what those guys are experiencing.
I think that's actually
But
what
no,
it
I mean
is.
I don't. Okay, yeah, I mean not to the point where I'd quit though or anything. I mean, my goodness, you still have your events. You're that good. You go overseas and you have Zloty, Worlds. Just because some of your local events has become a little bit more sloppy doesn't mean you quit arm wrestling. My goodness,
Yeah. Well, maybe
that's just nonsense.
Uh, I'm not saying they quit because of that. I think they're more just like old time strongmen guys or old time grip guys, and that's basically what it was. His arm wrestling was handling the growing pains kind of poorly, with exactly what you said. Everybody's trying to super match everybody, and
Oh
and
wow,
there's
yeah,
not
that
legit refs and all that kind of stuff, and everybody's posting on social media, and there's a bunch
yeah.
of trolls and
No,
that.
I could. It's definitely. I think all these nonsense super matches need to go. I think a super match shouldn't be something that the two people like. Oh, I really want to beat you, so let's have a super match at a tournament. No, that should be something that a promoter puts together or that people want to see.
Mhm.
And highlight a super match at an event, not
Right.
between two amateurs that or between two pros that have beef. That's what tournaments are for, right? You want to beat somebody, enter the tournament, and win the tournament, right?
Mhm.
Don't beat, yeah, all these matches. That's nonsense. And you're always going to have your social media trolls. I mean, that's just something that, I mean, there's only trolls because people give them attention.
That's true.
You ignore people that have nonsense and they have nobody to please because that's all they want to do is get attention. You're not giving any attention, they'll go away. But people give attention, so you're just as guilty when you say something like, "Oh, it's filled with all these trolls." And well, are you commenting on it? Are you giving it action? Are you reading it? If you are, don't don't banter because you're taking part of it, right?
Yeah.
That's my. But I see something. I don't even look at this. That guy's not even important. His existence is not even relevant right now. So I just let it go. Some people get so caught up in what people post and say. And it's like, dude, if someone says something stupid or says something, then just don't pay attention to it, right? Like, why are you giving your time of day? Why are you letting them have a seat at your table? That's the way I look at it.
That's
But
that's actually pretty that's some wisdom right there actually is what
in
that is.
that, then we probably wouldn't have all these trolls or people,
Wouldn't be a troll. You wouldn't know what a troll was.
or they'd live in their own little world, like separate, and it would be just fine because it'd be over there and they'd be trolling themselves, and it just, it would be great. But
one
everybody's addicted
one
to trolling the drama. Can't,
one
you know,
one aspect that I will say is that I am guilty of amateur super matching. But I will say that in North Carolina, there's not a lot of matches or tournaments. They're mostly 4 and 5 hours away. So we just end up linking up with teams that are, like somebody else's team, and then we'll just match our guys up with their guys, and we do it for experience. And so it works out.
That's
Huh?
Doing them in practice, linking together on your own time I encourage that.
Yeah, that's what we do.
I'm talking about it like tournaments where
you want to. Oh no,
we're like waste a bunch of time at the beginning having that, like, do that on your own. Exactly
right,
what
exactly.
you're capable. Yeah, that's fine. You can do it. It's a free country. You want to have 10 super matches in 10 days and drive and have a ref and do that. I believe me, I encourage that. But not at a tournament. There's a reason there's a tournament. It's
right.
for every.
And they already last forever. So you know what I mean? It's like sometimes the sun's going down and they're like, okay, we're about to start left hand. And you're like, oh my gosh, especially if you paid your $30 or you're waiting to win the overall money or something. You're just like, I'm about to just go to a restaurant. Come back.
Yeah. Huh? Absolutely.
No. But hey, anyways, it was a pleasure talking to you for sure.
No, thanks for having me on.
Actually, the last thing I did just think of one more question. What is your rest period, right? Before you arm wrestle, like this last one, do you take a week or depending on how you feel?
Well, kind of. It's a complicated answer, but I'll dumb it down for you. So, like I said, I kind of taper off into some speed training.
Okay.
Getting close. So the actual rest where I'm truly resting and doing nothing is really only a day. I do active recovery 2 days before I compete.
Okay.
And the active recovery, like I go in there, light move around, just get some blood flow, and then Friday I'll rest.
Okay.
And then Saturday,
yeah, I've really picked up on that you're a very detail oriented guy, and I believe I've picked up on that you're the way you train or the way you peak for a competition comes in kind of stages where you'll have different phases that you'll switch into as you progressively get closer. You'll either, you'll start out training for power and then switch over to maybe working on fast twitch muscles, and you'll switch over to accelerate and force, and then you'll just get blood flow in there, focus on recovery, and then taper down to where you're gonna you'll be arm wrestling or something. That's kind of the quick gist of what I got.
In a
so
nutshell,
it's interesting to hear that most people aren't that intricate with it. Most people are, they just do the same thing, or they just do arm wrestling specific stuff or whatever. So I appreciate you taking the time to spell it out for me, or for all of us, really.
Nope. Love it.
Anyways,
yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
So let's just run through it one time. You're going to be competing on August 20th at Ladson, South Carolina. And do you know the name of the venue?
Yes, the Honky Tonk Saloon off College Park Road in Ladson. It's going to be electric. I recommend everybody to come out. It is by far one of the best events, not just because of the arm wrestling, but because of the atmosphere, the venue itself. I recommend everybody come out.
All right. Well, hell yeah. Hey, I'm gonna do my very best to be there, and majority of my teammates have been training to go there, and so looking forward to seeing you again.
Yes, sir. Can't wait.
If you don't mind, I'm about to end it. Just hit me with a flex if you don't mind, and I will. I'll tag you whenever I chop this thing up and post it on Facebook. I'll tag you in it. But I appreciate it, Adam, and I wish you all the luck in the world, man. I think you're going. I think it's going to be a war because he's fast and he's strong, but I think you're going to get him.
I'm gonna give my best. I'll be the best version of me that day. That's for sure.
All right, it's good to hear it, buddy. You have a good night, brother.
Thanks. You too, Derek. Appreciate it.
Yep.